Forever Youth Pastor, episode 12. I set out to make 50 of these things, and this is 12. That means we're 24% done. And I set out to make 50 because I thought, hey, if I make 50 of these, what could it become? Who could I become? And so we'll see. This is 12. And this episode, we're going to start with one statement, one big, profound, timely statement. Here it is. AI is coming to ruin your life. What are your thoughts? It depends which headline you read. There's one headline that says, AI revolutionizes medicine for all time and we could all live without cancer forever. It's like, wow, that'd be good. There's all these breakthroughs with like proteins and molecules, and they're finding stuff. It's like, oh, that one day could cure all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, wow, that'd be good. And there's even like, hey, it could just continue to raise people out of poverty globally just for a better standard for all human beings everywhere. Yeah, man, that'd be really good. And then there's this other side. It's like AI's coming to take your life away. I mean, it's going to take your job. It's going to take your social security number. It's going to take your identity. It's going to basically become you. There's like all of this stuff. And there's like people all in the mix just trying to figure it out. And so I want this to be the kind of place where we can have these conversations where I'm not so sure there's a lot of Christians talking about these sorts of things. But as I see it, like this is so timely. This is so big. As we talk about faith, what is faith outside of our current context? What is faith without what is happening all around us and in the world? And if you just read any sort of news, wherever you get your news, and I know that's complicated lately. But trust me, that could be a whole episode on my dance with trying to understand what's going on in the world. It's hard to know what to believe anywhere. It's really actually hard. And I know sometimes people just fling that against the wall. They just say it as though it's like, oh, it's always been like that. But man, it's just getting harder and harder to discern what is true and what is real and what is not, and who is speaking true things and who is not. And it makes the thing very complicated. But here's the reality is AI is on every headline. I mean, if you open up every day, you're seeing something about AI. It's something that's gonna influence you in some sort of way. And so the question is not, have you heard of it at this point? I mean, if you've just been paying attention at all, you've heard of it. Probably there's a lot of you who have been using it actively for quite some time. And yeah, it's mind blowing, its capabilities. It's mind blowing what it's able to do. It actually has blown my mind, the things it is able to do, and the access to information that is now available to us with just like a simple, like a few clicks. We can basically access in real time Einstein's brain, something like that, in real time. And just anyone with an internet connection can just have access to that sort of information. And so again, that even adds this complexity of like, wow, this is like such a massive thing. How do I even begin to understand it? And I think the vast majority of us just shut it out. We use it if we need to. And students, you use it because you need to. And then we just move on with our lives, and we don't really talk about it with our friends, and we don't really have any real opinion on it whatsoever. And we just figure what comes will come, and we'll figure it out as it comes. And so for me, I honestly don't know what my deep take of it yet. I know that there are some tools that will just add some incredible benefit to my life and to all of humanity. Absolute insane possibilities across the board, all industries, all worlds, everything. And so there's good there, but man, I mean, I just go back to if I could rewind myself back to 10, 12 years ago, entering into social media's rise I mean, I was there with MySpace and then into Facebook, and then I jumped on Twitter. And then I slowly spent the next 7 years just wandering out of the wilderness. It just didn't ring for me. It didn't ring as good. It didn't ring as true for me, and I just had to get out of there, and I'll be frank, some of that was me taking a high road, and some of that was just because it it shined on my insecurities. That comparison thing, that's not good for me. Fear of missing out, that messed me up, and so it's not like I was above that, it's like, oh, why would I put myself in situations where that's just gonna be a thing? And I'm also one who, like, wants to be, like, proved right, and so, like, Facebook arguments at 2 a.m., it's like, What am I doing? What am I doing here? Why am I doing this?" But if I could go back and even just as a youth pastor, helping our students to articulate just you kind of saw it coming, but now what we know, and now by the way, I'm here to report that this current generation, they're kind of not having it. They're starting to like see through the cracks of this social media empire. If I was these social media companies, man, I would be really they're losing them, and I'm glad. I'm glad for that. They've become really dismayed and they're starting to call it what it is. And they're starting to use it more healthily for what it is. Though of course it's just a massive problem. It's just been a massive problem for adolescents now for well over a decade. And it's created all sorts of issues to where I just saw New York State just took next school year took phones out of school, out of the classroom, and it's like, yeah, they're now 12 years later, we're just trying to the data's now in, and it's like, this is kinda what it's done, and there's some good there. There's some connective things that are good there. There's some social things that are good there. Certainly, a lot of companies made a lot of money, so from their perspective, it was good. Uh, but man, there's been some damage. It's taken some hits. It's forced kids, maybe all of us, to grow up quicker than we needed to, see things that maybe we certainly didn't need to at ages we just didn't need to. And so like the point isn't necessarily like this big take on social media and its validities and its shortcomings, and you ask 10 people, they'll have kind of different take on that. But I use as an example to kind of describe what's coming next. This wave that's coming next it's going to be way bigger, way more exponentially impactful than social media. I mean, they're calling it the next great I mean, it's the next industrial revolution. As an example, just play that out for a second. Think the world before electricity, and then the world with electricity, and then the world now with now many years of electricity. And so it's going to be wild. It's going to change things really quick. It's probably going to displace a lot of people. The way that they are used to life being as it is today is going to change quite quickly. And we can ignore that and we can avoid that, and we as Christians can over spiritualize it. It's like, well, it's just up to God. We'll just leave it up to God and God's in control. And by the way, yes, I deeply believe that. And that is actually the number one ingredient in why I am not overly worried about artificial intelligence. It is informed by my faith in God who is in control, and I and no one else is. And so, yeah, that's really important. But I also think we should know what's going on. And I also think we should try to figure out, as Christians, what is actually happening in the world. And we are now living in a moment in time that is about a year before electricity was invented. We actually might be 2 years after electricity was invented. And all of a sudden, poof, 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 everything changed. All of a sudden, the thing that took 20 hours to produce took 20 seconds because it had power. Because it had power that powered machinery that could do infinitely more than humans could do on their own. The pyramids are still a great mystery, right? How did they create those pyramids? Seriously, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist, but man, like that, just with the way technological progression has been, they should not have been able to do that. And I've seen like the drawing and illustrations of like how they could have done it. And basically they had to like flood the whole land and roll in logs and like raise the, I don't know. I don't know. But the rate of human technological progression has just been this linear thing. But there's been moments in time that they call revolutions, and all of a sudden everything goes. We're like right at the infant stages of that revolution. And what I've been trying to do, just to kind of disclose why I'm talking about this stuff first, because I'm just deeply curious about it. I basically spent the last 2 years just trying to understand it. And the reason I've been trying to understand this is because I just have this general sense and a general life's desire and a life's mission. And it's packed into my concept of the power of compounding is that I just want to learn how the world works. I just want to figure it all out. I've literally spent the last 2 weeks learning about China. Why? Because I just want to learn about China. It's it's a big it's in the news a lot of talk about China. I want to find out what's going on. I just want to know how the world works. And so when I start picking up these things, this messaging like, oh, this artificial intelligence is going to be really big. I just start learning more and more. And by the way, that led me even into some investments that have turned out really good because it's kind of been on the ground floor of some of this stuff. And all of a sudden it's like, it's happening though. And it's happening quick. And so we should be talking about this, Christians, humans, friends. Like we should be talking about this because things are going to change and it's going to be important for us to kind of understand what this change is, but also understand our role in it. And it might be a really helpful idea to all of us is like as we're trying to live out this faith in Jesus, which I mean there's just nobody better to follow than Jesus. He's just this timeless example to us. Like whatever is happening in the culture, Jesus remains relevant. Think about that. Since his life, death, and resurrection, no matter what has been going on in human history, in civilization and culture, no matter what has been happening, Jesus has been timeless. Jesus has always played a role. Jesus has always been front and center, or has not been allowed to be front and center because of the threat that he raises. That's what I think about Jesus. Uh, in my journey of curiosity and my journey of like studying things, I've just stumbled upon great people over and over and over again. In fact, probably if I could summarize the things that I've studied the most are great people doing great things. I'm just fascinated by it. And there is nobody, not a single person, not a single empire can touch Jesus. Nobody, nothing. And usually the ones that get most powerful, they end up fighting against Jesus because he's just a force. No matter what's going on, he's just a force. And so, yeah, Jesus is alive and well, and his power is here now. And Jesus is traveling into this next industrial revolution. It'll be fine. He'll be there. And that'll be really good. It reminds me of there's just a wonderful movie that Laura, my wife, my amazing wife, my epic title, Force of Good in the World. We watched this movie. Is called The Best Marigold Hotel. Just this beautiful movie set in India, and the hotel owner or manager, just funny, squirmy guy, just hilarious. And he just had this motto. He said, he goes, there's this old Indian saying, this Indian proverb, he says, and everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, then it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, then it's not the end. And throughout the years, that quote it's just rung in my bones as like the essence of faith. To me, that is the essence of faith. That there's always this hope connected to it. That when life just throws all sorts of just crappiness at you, and we all suffer, we all go through it, we all have some version of that story, we all our human experience. Honestly, there's about 8 ingredients and we all share them. It's like shame, guilt, fear, love, right? Pain, all these things. I'm no expert on that, but we all have kind of the same pile of stuff. No matter what continent, no matter what culture, no matter whatever else the outside ingredients are, that is the human experience. And no matter what has been going on, like in history, like Jesus works there in that human experience. The unconditionality of his love, his he's just been there for all eternity. He's immortal. He's forever present. He's unlimited in his ability to do anything at all times for any reason. And so, yeah, it'll be okay in the end. Even though it's really hard. And even though we experience loss and love and death and grief and we suffer and we go through our own guilt and our own shame, we experience all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we're redeemed by the one true God of this universe, the one who is holding it all together, the one who is in control of all things. So, yeah, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. And so that's like my baseline, like that as Christians should be at the foundation of this whole conversation. Okay, I do not need to be afraid of this. I am not in control of it. I'm not even sure these AI companies are in control of it, but God is. Jesus is. It'll be okay in the end. And as I think of it too, it's just important to give it context, to give all of your experience context. And if you just think back to your life even before the internet, I mean, I remember having to I mean, I found out sports scores the next morning when I went outside to get the newspaper that was sitting at my house, my front porch in my parents' house, our family's house. And I would just go right to the sports page and just look at the sports scores. And sometimes I'm into sports and I like clip them out and keep these headlines. I just saved them up. It was actually a big part of my childhood. It was like part of already how I can look back and see how like the mind of Jeremy Herr works. But now I think of how insane that is. I had to wait 12 hours, 14 hours in some case to see the score of the game that happened 14 hours ago. I mean, you can find any score of any sporting event on earth. I mean, you can even get a live stream of a pre-K soccer tournament in Toledo, Ohio. I, I mean, we have access to anything everywhere at all times. And so, yeah, stuff's going to change, and it has changed. It's totally changed the whole time. I mean, the device that I'm filming this on, I mean, 10 years ago, that quality would have been a Hollywood level camera. It would have been tens of thousands of dollars. There would have been very few people on earth that could have afforded that camera. And that is not a camera. That is a device that I have in my pocket at all times. That is now more powerful as a computer than a supercomputer when I was 10. I mean, we've all been carrying around supercomputers in our pockets that do pretty much whatever we want whenever we want it. I mean, that's been some serious change. And yeah, there's some serious change coming, but what did you do? You just adapted. What did we as humans do? We just adapted. I mean, there's been some pain. There's been some things it's like, "Oh, if only we knew that, we would have done that differently." I mean, that stuff will happen. There's going to be things that I mean, you're going to see some headlines of some crazy stuff. Some stuff that frankly none of us would sign up for right now today. No way. Some of us would actually probably call for the kill switch of this whole thing just to prevent any of those things from happening. And who knows? Those people might be proved right over time. But I do know who knows. The one who holds it all together. Colossians says Jesus was there at creation, creating all things. John 1, Jesus was there at creation, creating all things. It wasn't just through him all things were made. It was for him. I think we sometimes leave out the for him. We sometimes don't really consider that Jesus is an active participant in this whole thing. And why wouldn't he be? Because this is for him. It's because of him, it's through him, and it's also for him. He's going to let it go how it goes. He's going to want it to go how he wants it to go. And we'll see. But that's just the power of faith. That's the power of us having this external hope outside of us. And as I see it, it's, man, when you lose hope, I mean, this isn't as I see it, this is everyone sees it. Once you lose hope, it's done. I've read some Viktor Frankl. He wrote just the profoundly influential book, The Man's Search for Meaning. And he was a Holocaust survivor. And he basically describes just the mental journey that they went through to survive it. And he said, with no exceptions, the only ones who survived were the ones that had some flicker of hope still inside of them. Once the hope was gone, it was done. And so that's the power of hope. And that's the power of faith. We need something outside of us to know, okay, everything is going to be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. Parents, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. But here's the thing, the thrust of this whole podcast is we get a lot of ability to choose in this life. I mean, Jesus is the one in control, but he has allowed us the ability to make decisions. He has given us agency to decide moments in which we want to have faith or not, moments we really want to give it everything we've got to just work at this marriage that we know is fracturing really quick. It's like we have those choices, and they're informed. They're informed by faith. They're informed by our true power source, that it isn't about us. It isn't about me. It isn't about you. But there are steps that we can take to do what's right, not only by other people, but what's right by us. Like what helps us to grow, that gets us out of that shame spiral that just has taken us. It's taken us away. I mean, 15 weeks ago, I thought, no way could I make an episode like this. I've done 12. It's like, okay, I just had to start. I just had to give it a go. I just had to hit record and talk into a mic. I didn't want to do it. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. But I've done it. And it's been awesome. And I'm not even sure why I said maybe I shouldn't have done it, because I definitely should have done it. That was my shame working in real time. It's unedited. It's just coming out. But there's hope in the end. We have choices to make each and every day. And I would say this, let's land with this. It is up to your choice how you step into this next great industrial revolution. You get to decide. You get to decide whether you want to just be totally petrified in fear of the change and all the loss that you are going to feel in the things that you think are normal right now that are going to change. And it could be obviously very upsetting. Or are we just going to step in full of faith and full of hope, full of trust to know, God has all this under control, but there's also opportunities here. There's also going to be a lot of opportunities to help our friends who are really struggling and losing a lot of their own personal meaning and purpose in the midst of all the change that is taking place. And so there's going to be just boatloads of ministry opportunities. I mean, if it's your thing to come alongside people who are struggling, there is going to be some opportunities here. And I think we as Christians should just really look to take those opportunities, to make the most of those opportunities. Ephesians does say make the most of those opportunities because the days are evil. I mean, I'm I'm an optimist. I don't see the days as evil. In fact, I see a lot of goodness everywhere. I see a lot of Christians doing a lot of beautiful things. I see a lot of humans doing a lot of beautiful things all the time. I am naturally bullish on humans. I think humans are actually incredible. And I definitely, if it's a battle of humans versus AIs, I mean, humans must win that because humans need to stay around. Yeah. It's there's just going to be a lot of opportunities because there's going to be a lot of change. And I think where there's a lot of change, there's a lot of opportunities. And I think a lot of change creates a lot of fear. And where there's a lot of fear, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. But there's also going to be a lot of times where we're really just struggling to figure this whole thing out. And so I think we should talk about it. And sometimes, like, man, this video, this may not age well at all. It may age great. I don't know. But these are my thoughts today, and we'll see. But I think everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. All right, 31 minutes in. The word for the day is end. End. It's not the end. There's hope. End. Short, easy. Put that in the comment section. It just says, hey, Jeremy, I got here. It just honestly, it's cool. It really means a lot. And those of you who have been rolling through this, I think you're heroes. Yeah. Most of you are like my real friends. And so